Right now at 11, the FBI raids the Florida state of former President Donald Trump. What we're learning tonight about the search and what it may be connected to. Plus,
some Prince George's County businesses still drying out tonight after flash flooding earlier made for a treacherous ride home.
And neighbors terrified after an overnight break-in. Tonight, we're getting a look at surveillance footage of the suspect. Your News 11 starts right now. But we begin with the news alert. The FBI raiding the Florida residence of former President Donald Trump.
Trump confirmed the raid tonight, saying that the FBI conducted a search of his Mar-a-Lago estate and that agents broke open a safe. The Justice Department has been investigating the removal of classified records that were taken from the White House to Mar-a-Lago when Trump left office. 15 boxes of classified records were retrieved from Mar-a-Lago by the National Archives earlier this year. The former president's son, Eric Trump, confirmed tonight that this raid was in connection with that investigation.
Fox 5's chief legal analyst Katie Barlow live for us outside of the Justice Department tonight to help put this all into context. Katie, clearly a major escalation here of that investigation.
Marina, you're exactly right. Tonight was a major escalation of the investigation. And as Rob pointed out, Eric Trump confirmed tonight on Fox News that the executed search warrant at Mar-a-Lago today was related to records that were federal records related to the National Archives that, as you said, were turned over earlier this year. Now, in order to get to this point today, where the search warrant was executed, of course, the Department of Justice was involved before the FBI executed that search warrant. And that type of warrant being executed on a former president, unprecedented in American history, as President Trump said himself tonight. And for that kind of warrant to be served, it would have to reach the upper echelon of the Justice Department for approval, if not perhaps even the very top of the Justice Department, Attorney General Merrick Garland. Now, Trump pushing back on the FBI executing that search warrant today, saying Biden's FBI executed that search warrant. But a reminder that he, in fact, appointed the head of the FBI, Chris Wray, back in 2017 after he fired the former head of the FBI.
And tonight, the DOJ has not put out a statement or confirmed any of this, but law enforcement sources are reporting that this is related to the National Archives, referring this to the DOJ. Is there a scenario, Katie, where Donald Trump leaves the White House, he takes these documents with him, these 15 boxes, and because he is the president, he can declassify them? Is that an argument?
Well, it's certainly one that folks are talking about right now. A president has the ability to declassify any classified material. That's within the scope of presidential power. A couple of questions is how that plays out as a former president versus a current president. But also, if he left with those documents while they were still classified, that potentially relates to the mishandling of classified material. If he wanted to declassify the documents post hoc, that might be something that we find out eventually. But to your point, that is a question. Folks are talking about it. Presidents do have the power to declassify materials, but there's still a lot that we don't know related to whether he did declassify those materials or whether he would have the power as a former president at this point. But it's something to consider.
All right, and Katie, we should point out that this is obviously an ongoing investigation, but so far no charges have been brought on, correct?
Yes, you're right. And as you said, we haven't heard anything from the FBI and DOJ. I wouldn't expect that we would. This is standard operating procedure for them when they're going forward with a criminal investigation. That includes going before a judge, as they would have had to here, to explain why they had probable cause to believe that there was evidence of a crime committed on the premises of Mar-a-Lago, specifics about what that evidence was and where it was located. And they're going through all those steps, as they typically would with a criminal investigation, without taking a press conference or making anything public at this point. All of this happens as a part of a natural course of an investigation. But getting to this overt step, as they did today, conducting something where now the potential subject of a criminal investigation is aware of what's happening, is a notable point in the investigative process.
Katie Barlow, Fox 5's chief legal correspondent outside of the Department of Justice tonight.